Hello, welcome back to my channel, Ravi Money Talks. So in today's video, we are going to share about what is a unit trust, and from my perspective, how would I read a unit trust fund fact sheet. Okay, before we do that, if you have not done so, I will highly encourage you to look through my previous videos. It will actually give you a better perspective on some matters on financial management and also some tips on how to set aside your monthly income better. Okay, so without further ado, let's watch this video on what is a unit trust. Okay, so after watching this video, I hope it gives you a better perspective on what is a unit trust and some of the financial objectives that a unit trust can achieve for investors out there. Okay, so for the later part of this video, I'll be sharing on how would I read a fund fact sheet. Okay, so to give you all more context, a fund fact sheet is actually one of the most important documents that as an investor or an advisor that we will use to share. The fund fact sheet will list down details of the fund itself, and it should be updated on a monthly to bi-monthly basis by the fund house. Okay, so yeah, let's find out how would I read a fund fact sheet. Let's go. Okay, so as you can see, this is actually a typical fund fact sheet. Okay, so the fund fact sheet, like I mentioned, should indicate all important details of the particular mutual fund itself. So let's go from the top to the bottom, left to right. Okay, so as you can see over here at the top left, this is the name of the particular fund house, Franklin Templeton. Okay, on the right itself, you can see the name of the fund itself is called Franklin US Opportunities Fund fact sheet. Okay, this detail over here should indicate the date of the fund fact sheet that it was published. So you can see it was end April 2022 this year. Okay, let's move along. So fund overview, you can see the base currency of the fund itself is actually US dollar. Okay, total net assets in USD is 6.73 billion. Okay, fund inception date for a particular class itself is, you can see, way back in year 2000. Okay, number of issuers, it states that the number of companies that this fund invests in. Okay, so 88 is the number over here. Okay, so below here you can see the word benchmark. Okay, so the benchmark for this fund is actually using Russell 3000 Growth Index and also our famous S&P 500 Index. Okay, so let's move along to the right side where let me explain a bit more in detail on what is the use of the benchmark in a mutual fund. A benchmark is actually an index used to measure the overall performance of the fund itself. Okay, its comparison should show how much it has earned instead of how much it should have earned. Okay, so there's a key difference to take note. And please take note, as an investor, all funds should typically generate returns as close to the benchmark as possible. That's the minimum that the fund managers will hope to achieve. Okay, so over here you can see the few lines itself. The light blue line is actually the S&P 500 Index. Okay, the dark blue is actually the fund itself, Franklin US Opportunity Fund. Okay, and lastly the green line is actually the Russell 3000 Growth Index. Okay, so this key information over here is for you all to take note. Summary of investment objective. This is also a very important information to let investors know before investing, so that they know their objective when they actually invest in a unit trust. Okay, so let's read along. The fund aims to achieve capital appreciation by investing primarily in equities, securities of US companies believed to possess sustainable growth characteristics and which meet growth, quality and valuation criteria. So in a nutshell, it means that the objective of this fund is purely for capital appreciation. They include small, medium and large cap companies with strong growth potential across a wide range of sectors. They have exceptional growth potential and fast-growing innovative companies within these sectors. Okay, so this is the summary of the investment objective of the fund itself. Okay, on the right over here, this is actually a very important information as well to take note. Okay, it actually states the performance of the fund itself from past history. So as you can see over here, there is a track record based on 1 month, 3 months, year to date, 1 year, since inception, and in annualized data. Okay, so let's use the Sing Dollars H1 as a comparison. Okay, for simplicity, I will not be explaining what is the difference between a SGD H1 and a USD share class. Okay, I'll cover more that in the future. Okay, so as you can see, ACC SGD H1, the year to date is over here, which is in the negative territory. Okay, negative 25.68% for year to date. That is before sales charge. Okay, I'll cover more on sales charge in a while as we move along below. Okay, 1 month data, the negative 13%, 3 months negative 15%, for the 1 year is negative 17.55%. Okay, so these are just data for you all to take note since inception. Okay, as you can see, is 258% in total return. Okay, annualized. For the past 3 years, it has performed close to 9% at 8.92%, and since inception, it has actually achieved above 10%. It's in the range of 12.84% per annum returns. Okay, so this is before sales charge. Let's look at after sales charge. So sales charge, in a nutshell, it means a one-time fee that investor got to fork out before they buy into the unit trust itself. Okay, so typically the sales charge will be levied at up to a maximum of 5%. Okay, so let's look at the data with the sales charge factored in. Negative 18%, negative 19.76%, negative 29%, so on and so forth. Okay, this is the performance of the Russell 3000 Growth Index as well, and the S&P respectively. For the asset allocation, you can see over here, almost all the asset class is invested in equities. So you can see 98.18% is invested in pure equities and a cash portion of 1.82%. Okay, top 10 holdings should give you a very clear idea on what are the top companies the fund invests in. So as you can see over here, I think the names itself are actually very big names. So Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, MasterCard, Alphabet, Nvidia, so on and so forth. Okay, so for a total of 88 issuers, the top 10 is usually being showed to let investors have a better idea on how much the allocation is. So for example, Amazon at 7.27% weightage. Fund measures. So all these are statistic data that you can see: PE to growth, historical 3-year sales growth, 3 to 5 years earning per share growth, so on and so forth. Okay. More details will be shared in the second page of the fact sheet itself if you want to read up more on that. On the second page itself, you can see the share class information. As you can see on this fund fact sheet itself, it has 2. So we are covering more on the SGD H1 today, which you can see inception date year 2011. Okay, NAV is the net asset value, which I have shown in the video previously. So it will determine the overall value of your asset itself. Total expense ratio over here and sales charge over here. Okay, do take note that unit trust actually have a few charges. The most common charge is the front fee, which is the sales charge when you purchase into the unit trust. So like what I mentioned earlier, the maximum sales charge is 5% and the minimum could be as low as below 1%. Okay, annual charge is the charge that is charged by the fund house itself. So usually for this fund, it's actually charged at 1.5%. Over here, it can show that for this SGD H1 share class itself, the subscription type is actually cash and SRS. So that means besides investing your cash, you can actually use your SRS funds to invest as well. Okay, dividend portions over here, as you can see, if you remember, the fund objective of this fund is actually to generate capital appreciation. So in a nutshell, that means that there won't be any dividends paid. So that's why over here is all not applicable. Fund identifiers, I think it's quite common that, you know, all these are measures to let customer know how the fund is being identified. For ISIN, it actually means it's actually a international securities identification number, usually in the form of a 12 digits. Okay, so you can actually use this 12 digit to identify a particular share class of the fund itself. Besides mutual funds, your stocks, equity, bonds, debts, all these also have their own ISIN codes. So this is for your information. Composition of funds. Okay, so this will actually have a very clear indication of how are the funds are invested in terms of asset allocation. So as you can see, the green portion is actually the Russell 3000 Growth Index, and on the blue portion is actually the fund itself. Okay, so as you can see over here, 43% is actually invested in IT, okay, 17.14% in healthcare, 14.61% in consumer discretionary, so on and so forth. On the right itself, you can see market cap breakdown. The most important information is to see over here itself, 46% of the fund is actually invested in companies that is above 150 billion market cap. So in a nutshell, it means that the companies that they are investing in are huge companies. So let's move along. The key risk of the fund itself, I think you all can read on your own. The glossary, like what I mentioned earlier, this will actually give you a definition on what these terms mean. And most importantly over here, do take note that this fund fact sheet has not been reviewed by the MAS. Okay, so that means this information do digest based on your own knowledge and experience, and before you invest in any fund out there, please do seek a professional advisor if needed. If not, do your own due diligence before investing in a unit trust. Okay, so the last page itself are just some key terms that you all should take note. Okay, the important information you all can just read out on your own itself. And yeah, so in a nutshell, we are done. So I hope today's video can give you a better perspective on what is a unit trust, and also how would I read a fund fact sheet, and hopefully it gives you a better perspective before you invest in a unit trust. Yeah, if you find this video informative and beneficial to you, okay, do give me a thumbs up, and do feel free to share, like I said, with your friends, family, loved ones out there, and do give suggestions and feedback on how I can improve. And if there's any ideas or any other areas or any financial products that you all want me to share more on, do let me know. Okay, as long as I have the relevant knowledge and experience, I'll be glad to give my few cents worth. Okay, so with that, I come to the end of my video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Yeah, this is Ravi Money Talk signing off. Let your money do the work. Take care.